Some people do believe that, though. That says if I pay off my car loan, that I've had some lates in the past, like credit cards too, that will it help, to kind of like get that account out of the mix. But no. Same thing for credit cards. I see people all the time, like they'll pay off a credit card and then you kind of put it away and you quit using it. And you don't want to do that. You want to keep it in the mix, even if it's something you had a late in the past. After 2 years after the late, it's not impacting your credit score anymore. Okay, I have $9,000 cash I want to use as down payment for a house. Okay, so you can use that as cash. You can't use. You need to get that. First of all, maybe it's not cash. Maybe you're just calling it cash. But if it's not in your bank account, cash doesn't work. We can't source where that money came from or show like that you had a loan or that you owe somebody that money. So you need to get it in your bank account. Let it sit there for 60 days. Let it season, it's called. Let it sit there, and that way it's your money. They don't have to source where it came from. Okay? But as far as that goes, if you have all this money saved, and I'm seeing this a lot lately, people have credit card balances. Okay? You have credit card balances, but you have a whole lot of money saved. Like, get the credit cards paid off, okay, and set up on a $20 system before you don't put the horse before the cart. Like, you got to get the credit cards paid down below 10%, each one of them below the 10% of the limit, so that the score can come up high enough to where you can qualify for the house and need that down payment. You see what I'm saying? What's the good of a down payment if you can't get in, if you can't apply? I charge $100 for a 30-minute session. It's $159 for a couple. And that's an hour. And then if you want to do if you need more than just a 30-minute session, I have a 90-minute coaching with the online course. Okay. That comes for, $297. I mean, guys, the $100 is not to make me rich. It's never going to make me rich. It's about you investing in you. I only invest in people that I know are invested in themselves. Same thing in a relationship, anything like that. I'm not interested if you're not even interested in you, right? So if you are invested in you, you're willing to put the $100 up for yourself for a little self-care time, 30-minute session with me to get your 3 credit reports from you, write up a 1-page plan of attack, and we go over it and you execute it. But if you don't want to do the $100, then or do it as a couple, and then it's not so scary. It's like $159. Then I'll get to your question as soon as I can, or I answer it on here, or I try to just answer them as much as I can. But I've noticed that over the years that people don't pay attention until they're invested a little bit. And so believe me, it's for you that I do it. Credit cards were charged off. Yeah. Just because they're charged off doesn't mean you're done. So they charge off legally. They have to after 6 months of not receiving any money from you on credit cards. If it's an installment loan, it's 4 months. So the key thing on that is if it's charged off, now it's in this place where they could hire a third-party company to try to collect on their behalf. They could sell it to a collection company, and then the collection company could reach out to you and then show up on your credit. So you got 2, now you got another company that's listed on your credit, dragging your score down. So if you want to really stop the bleeding, you call the company, the original creditor that is reporting a charge off on your report with a balance, and you offer to make a settlement. You just say, they're not going to delete, but you just want them to, it doesn't matter if you settle for $1 or you pay the entire amount. You want them to just update that trade line as saying a 0 is what the balance is, and that it's a paid charge off. And I can't stress enough, get receipts. Get documentation that says, I paid this. Take a picture with your phone, put it in your notes, keep it. Okay, keep it like it's a picture of your grandma, because you know what? Someone down the line is probably going to say, hey, you owe us. And you're going to say, no, you don't. No. Here, like, see, I already paid that. Scores are good for 120 days. You have to close within that 120-day time frame from when they pulled the credit report. So if your credit scores are going to expire like in 2 weeks, and you're still out there looking for a house, you might want to have them run your credit again so that they can pull up that credit. You can see if there's anything that changed. Maybe you qualify for more. But, every analyst I listened to this morning basically said, the rates are heading probably for the summer into the 3.5, like 3.875 range. That's a little bit higher than where we were. And so it's like you get more money, you get more bang for your buck. right now versus waiting a little bit for the rates to be a little bit higher. And so then you got a little bit of a higher rate. You've got even the down payment assistance programs, most of them in every state, like you can't really lock in until you're under contract and you're about 15 days from closing. A lot of them is when you reserve your funds, and you don't get to lock in the rate until you reserve funds. You don't get to lock in the interest rate just when you're pre-approved. It goes with a property and a time frame. So if you decide to write a contract for to close in 3 months, okay, you're not going to lock in yet. Usually you lock either 30 days out or 60 days out. And so if the rates move up in that 30 to 60 day time frame and you're not locked in on the rate and it moves too high, you might not qualify anymore. So make sure you're taking a look at that, okay? $10,000 loan can pay off 2 years early. But why? Don't try to rush to pay off an installment loan. Like credit cards all day long, that's a choice every month that they're reviewing, that you want to be able to demonstrate you didn't borrow all that you had available on that credit card, the $1,000 limit. You borrowed between $1 and $100. No more than whatever the limit is if you drop the last digit, okay? Installment loans, don't rush to pay those off, because the minute you make your very last payment, you're going to see your score drop. That's not ideal place for it to be. It's a temporary drop, and it kind of depends on what else is reporting on your credit, but it's not the ideal place to be. Don't rush to pay that off. Even making the extra payment on a car loan, making a little extra payment, to pay it off faster, you can. I'm all for trying you to get, rid of your debt. I just don't know if that's what your goal is. If your goal is to try to raise your score, try to show how fast you can pay a debt off, that's not how you do it. Talk medical bills. Medical bills, whether they're a medical collection or a non-medical collection, it all means the same thing when it comes to mortgages and car loans, and that the importance of how much it's impacting your credit really comes down to the day it was placed for collection on your credit. So if you have a collection company that's showing on your credit report and it says placed for collection 12 of 2020, and then you have another one that says it was placed for collection in 12 of 2017. They're both hurting you, okay? But the one that just happened in 2020 is much heavier. And so by calling and trying to get that one paid and deleted or agree to pay, okay, it's gonna be better for your credit score quicker. You're gonna see it you're going to see, because after about 24 months that they haven't updated, they're just sitting there on your credit report, but they haven't updated that you still owe it. It's not impacting your score anymore. But medical collections are one of those things where mortgage scores and auto scores are greatly impacted by medical debt, medical collections, even if it's $4 and it was a blood lab, okay? But all of the other credit score models you have access to, like Vantage Score, FICO 8, FICO 9, they're invisible to those scoring models. So the medical bills have to be negotiated. Don't try to go around this HIPAA, here's the thing is there's a HIPAA violation going on if they're like sharing with the collection company your medical records and things like that, okay? But then they've gotten really good at being able to privately offer information saying that you have a debt owed. In my opinion, there's been some times where I've pulled credit and seen the collection's original creditor listed right on the credit report, and it says it's a fertility place, or it's a OBGYN. I know anything that I feel like could potentially have some sort of discrimination, potentially. That should be a violation. That should not be allowed on your report. But it's one of those things where they can remove it. It doesn't mean it went away. And they can always sell it again and can keep on going. Try to make it to where you don't get it to the collection level. If you have a medical something happen, emergency room or something you think the insurance is covering. But at least call the hospital up right away and see if they have any kind of charity care, okay? To see if you can potentially get these debts paid for based on your income level. Hopefully come back on Wednesday and join me. Okay? I got a lot of those.